So good afternoon, all. A very warm welcome to all the attendees of this session. And it's now time to introduce the speakers of the day, starting with Professor Amandeep Nagpal, Additional Dean and Head of School of Computer Science and Engineering, Lovely Professional University. He's an IT professional with a rich experience of over 20 years in teaching and academic administration, expert in designing ingenious methodologies in object-oriented paradigm and data science. Keen observer, planner, and implementer with track record of developing operational policies, norms, systems, controls, schemes for engineering programs, and education standards for professionals. Expert in curriculum development based on outcome-based evaluation model. I welcome you, sir. We also have with us Mr. Pradipto Chakrabarty, Regional Director, South Asia for Comshia Technologies India Private Limited, an MTech from IIT Roorkee, another Masters in International Business from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi, having more than 20 years of industry experience. We have with us an alumni of LPU, Mohit Balu, Systems Engineer, Tata Consultancy Services. He specializes in implementing system security measures and provide assistance with remediation of vulnerabilities. Also developing automation tools in Python to speed up the tasks performed in VAPT assessments. We have with us Ms. Kavisha, Assistant Professor, Lovely Professional University, having 8+ years of experience, pursuing PhD in gamification, having more than 12 international publications, and also won Best Education Award Ministry of Urban Affairs. She'll be taking up the queries regarding admissions. It's now over to Professor Amandeep Nagpal for the content of the day. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rishiji. So good afternoon, audience. The theme for today's webinar is one of the kind and very exclusive BTech Computer Science and Engineering program at LPU. Now, this program, we are offering it in the form of an honors degree program, which is having a specialization in cybersecurity and blockchain. And this program at LPU, we are launching it with collaboration with CompTIA, a pioneer in cybersecurity certification. So what is the need of cybersecurity? I'll set the context and then I let Deeptoji to take over the presentation. So this presentation in today's session would be delivered by three presenters, me, Deeptoji, and Mohit. So I'll set the context. Why is this cybersecurity need of the hour? So dear audience, as you can see, NASSCOM has listed these 10 future technology skills, which are going to occupy the job space in Indian IT industry for next 5 to 7 years. And we are expecting around 5 to 7 million jobs based on these technologies. And one of the prominent technologies that will have its ample share in the job market is cybersecurity. So we at Lovely Professional University has chosen this cybersecurity along with the combination of blockchain to be rolled out as a specialized degree program in the field of computer science and engineering. So today's deliberations will be all based on cybersecurity and blockchain and how this program is going to be rolled out to the audience. So I'm expecting you to be very active and participative audience, so that if you have any questions related to program scheme, related to courses, related to technologies around blockchain and cybersecurity, please feel free to be participated in Q&A session, which we are going to host at the end. Now, setting the context for cybersecurity. Now, we all are living in the digital era. The world is now is more and more reliant on technology than ever before. The emergence and growth of technology has made a positive impact on our lives. This has changed the way we buy things online, we pay utility bills, we watch movies, we conduct meetings, and everything else. So whatever we wish for is just a click away. All of this is made possible because of the usage of internet and electronic media. But this convenience has, however, come with the risk of cyber attacks. Now, if you are using a tech device for whatever reason, then you are highly likely to be exposed to a cyber attack. The advancement of technology has left many people vulnerable to cyber criminal activities such as hacking, data theft, damage, and spying. There are innumerable incidents of security breaches, frauds, malicious attacks being reported every day. To keep the internet age well ordered and safe for users, the need for cybersecurity has arisen. It secures us from cyber criminals, fraudsters, hackers, and anybody who wants to harm us financially, mentally, or engage in online malpractices. So without cybersecurity, organizations could lose sensitive information, money, or reputation. So cybersecurity is as important as the need for technology in this era. Now, what cybersecurity is? Cybersecurity refers to the technologies, processes, and practices designed to protect the networks, devices, softwares, and data from attack, damage, or any kind of unauthorized access by malicious or cyber criminals. It's not about protecting a system at all. It's about identifying the threats, protecting from threats, detecting the threats, responding to the unfavorable scenarios, and recovering from unwanted attacks. If the attack happens, so it's a combination of 5-6 different processes. It's not about identifying or recovering from a threat. It's about protection, detection, responding, and recovering. So it's a mix of 5 to 6 processes involved in it. And there are a lot of technologies behind cybersecurity, which we are going to touch in the next presentation. Now, most common form of attacks that could happen in cybersecurity domain are phishing, vishing, DDoS, viruses, malwares, man-in-middle, password attacks, spywares, cross-site scripting, brute force attacks. So I know that these terms may seem to be a little bit more technical for some audience who is not aware about cybersecurity, but then I'm just letting you know about the kind of attacks which are very prominent these days, and any one of us or any organization could be hampered by the attack if it's not prone or it's not secured by the cyber defense. Now, coming to the blockchain part, blockchain is a system of recording information in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. So basically, blockchain and cybersecurity, they work in complement. They would complement each other. Blockchain facilitates the process of recording the transactions and tracking the assets in a business network. An asset could be any tangible or intangible asset. When I say tangible assets, it could be a house, it could be a car, it could be land, it could be cash. In intangible assets, it could be your intellectual property, your patents, your brand secrets, copyrights, and your patents, copyright, anything which cannot be touched and felt. Virtually anything of value that can be tracked and traded on a blockchain, it reduces the risk and cuts the operational cost. So basically, blockchain helps the users who implement this technology to reduce risk and cut their operational costs. Now, we all know that the business of the modern day, they run information. So information is the backbone of all businesses these days. Now, blockchain technology is ideal for delivering faster, accurate, and authentic information that can be accessed only by the authorized members. A blockchain network can track orders, payments, accounts, and much more. And because every user in a blockchain network can share a single window of truth, so one can see all details of a transaction end-to-end happening, giving a greater confidence and new efficiencies and opportunities to do businesses. Now, dear audience, if you see this blockchain diagram on the right-hand side, this actually is not the diagram of a blockchain, but these are the prominent industry and some of the use cases which industries are deploying these days to take care or to use the advantages of blockchain. The blockchain primarily is being used in 5 major industries: life sciences and healthcare, telecom, media and entertainment, CPRD. CPRD stands for consumer products, retails and distribution. Some would also call it as something like an FMCG industry. Surely in banking and financial services, and of course, government sector, public regulations, they all are using the blockchain for keeping records and making it the documentation and verification process more secure. So any kind of industry is implementing and has started deploying these facilities of blockchain. Now, I've just set the context for cybersecurity and blockchain, that what kind of technologies they are. Surely this not is a very technical session, but I'm expecting that the audience would get a feel of these technologies. And I now expect Sudipto ji to please carry on the presentation so that the audience can be enlightened on more on the scope and the job opportunities which are available in the domain of blockchain and cybersecurity. So Pradeep ji, it's up to you now.
Sure. Thank you very much, Professor Amandeep. I think Professor Rishi, I need to share my screen. So if you could give me the access.
Okay. It's already been shared. So.
Okay. So I just wanted to check if you're able to see my screen.
Not for the time being. It was visible, sir. You can click. Yeah, now visible.
Is it visible now? Okay.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second to organize the. Not able to minimize the. Just cool. Sorry for this, but just give me 1 second so that I can organize the screen a little bit more.
Pradipta sir, you will not be able to see yourself while you are presenting, so you have to carry on. Yeah.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Not in the full screen mode.
Well, I have already made it full screen, so I'm just figuring out how to do it.
Maybe in the presentation mode, sir, if you can do it.
I have already done that. So I'm able to see it in the screen. Which screen are you able to see? I'm just not able to. Because I'm not able to select. Okay, let me do something. Just give me. I'm really sorry for this because I'm not very adept with the GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, you know.
Are you able to see my screen now in full screen mode?
Yeah, fine.
Perfect. Okay, sorry for this, but thank you very much for the kind introduction, Professor Rishi, and very good evening, good afternoon to everyone, all the audience. And I'm assuming that all of you are students who are looking forward to a very, very bright future within LPU and of course overall in the life. This has been a very, very tough couple of years, and I know that, I have felt that, because my daughter is exactly your age. She's just so-called finished her class 12, which is basically went through without any assessment, but that is where life is. It's there's a little bit of disruption, but then I'm sure that everything will work out, and you all will have a very, very bright future as we go along. So Professor Amandeep has already set up the context for today's discussion. What I will be focusing in the next about 15 to 20 minutes is basically how do you build your career towards cybersecurity and blockchain. We already know, and I'm sure that you all are very, very smart kids who have, you have got excellent research capabilities. You've already gone into Google. You know a lot of things. But what I would like to do is put it in a little bit of more structured manner so that you're able to sort of understand what is in it for you in case you are looking at cybersecurity and blockchain as a career. So what I will do is that I will cover very basics of cybersecurity. I know some bit of it has been covered by Professor Amandeep in a very, very good and very, very crisp manner. The other thing is that we always talk about cybersecurity and blockchain at the same breath, but I wanted to establish a little bit of connectivity between cybersecurity and blockchain, and why is there a course which has got elements of cybersecurity as well as blockchain. third, which is more important for you at this stage, is to understand some of the critical skills that you would be requiring in a field of cybersecurity and blockchain. And then finally, I always like students to think ahead in terms of, what would be your job prospects, what would you do as a cybersecurity professional, and how would you grow within that industry, because what you're doing for the next 4 years obviously will set a path for future times, and therefore you need to also figure out that, okay, this is what something I like, and this is what is in store for me. So that's the basic structure what I'm going to cover today. So to begin with, I'm sure that all of you and many of you would be familiar with this graphic that you see in front of us. It's actually the history of how businesses, how industry have developed over the past 300 years. And obviously, across the world, we have sort of, divided these developments of the major landmarks into four development areas, industry 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what is interesting is that every time such an industrial disruption happen, there are two things that comes out. First and foremost, that there are certain job roles or certain activities and occupations that become redundant. And there is job loss. There is no doubt about it that every industrial development has seen certain amount of job losses. But on the other hand, the new developments create a lot of new opportunities and new occupations as well. And one key string that attaches one development phase to the next development phase is how well you as an individual or people as an individual are able to develop their skills. How are they able to transform themselves? And that is exactly what history has told us. Industrial development 1.0, which happened somewhere around 18th century, where mechanization or steam power was invented, and that is how a lot of processes moved into mechanization. 2 was more about electrical energy, and then 3 was where automation started happening in the late later half of 20th century, where computers and electronics became the key of all of the things. And today what is happening, we are living in an era of cyber physical systems, which means that all the gadgets, all the assets, all the things that you're using are sort of connected through internet or connected through some kind of networking, so that they become smart. So we talk about IoT devices, we talk about connected devices. All of us have felt that, you have light bulbs which can be controlled by apps, you have vacuum cleaners which can be controlled by apps, and so on and so forth. So the other very interesting trend is that if you see that the jump from the industrial development 3 to 4 has been very rapid. In fact, today the pace of that development is much more faster than what it was in the past, obviously because of scientific developments and bright minds like you. So what is happening is that it is opening up a whole new generation of learners, whole new generation of technology users. So we come to cybersecurity now. Very interestingly, I do a lot of talking with students like you, and that's what I've been doing for the past 15, 17, 20 years now. And whenever, interestingly, where I ask the question that what do you mean by cybersecurity, if there are 10 people sitting, 10 students sitting in front of me, they would obviously equate that with hacking. And that is exactly what I try to. This is the first myth that I try to burst with, students of your age, that cybersecurity is actually not hacking. Like what Professor Amandeep said, it is much more than just what we talk about hacking. Why people talk about hacking is because it's a very thrilling topic, or a thrilling word, where you're trying to be sort of a voyeur who is trying to peep into other person's life, and that thrill of knowing something which is unknown is what people do get attracted about. And that's the reason why students of your age, and whenever you talk, they say that, okay, somebody who is a cybersecurity engineer or cybersecurity professional means that he's that geeky kind of a person who's sitting backdoor somewhere, doing things that people do not know, which eventually turns out to be something like a hacking. But to be very honest, let me just kind of clarify that cybersecurity is not about hacking. So what is cybersecurity? So first and foremost, cybersecurity is all about defense. It's something like, if you, in many places, if you relate this to a sport, say for example boxing. These days there are a lot of boxing based movies which are there on OTT platforms, etc. And in one of the movies, the coach says that boxing is not about hitting, but it's about defending. It's everything about defending. Similarly, cybersecurity is all about protection. It is not about attacking and going into somebody else's network, but it's all about protecting your electronic asset. So what is cybersecurity? That it focuses on protecting your electronic assets, which includes the internet, the wide area network, the local area network, the cloud, and so on and so forth. So whatever means or whatever processes or technology that is used to store and transmit an information, as a cybersecurity professional, your first job is to protect them. So that's the first point. Second, we need to understand how malicious actors are using resources to attack information. You need to think as a hack. You need to think as a hacker. You don't need to be a hacker, but you need to think as a hacker, like a detective who is always putting himself or herself in the shoes of a criminal and try to decode what the criminal has done or is in the process of doing. And thirdly, what is the other important part? I'm sorry. The other important part is that, I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. Is that, sir, I'm not able to move the panel. So is there any, okay, hide control panel. Okay, got it now. Well, okay. So the third part is that we make sure that hackers can't use electronic means to gain improper access to your data and your information. Now, there are two types of people. One are laymen like us, who are users of computing. You need to understand that there are one group of people who are using or users of the electronic or the information technology, and the other group are people who are working to see that the common people like us are able to use those products and the services and the software, etc., properly. So while I am using internet to log into my bank's internet banking and I'm doing a transaction, now being a layman, I can make human errors. And that's because I don't have so much of awareness about technology. But you as a cybersecurity professional within that bank, you are responsible for basically setting controls in such a way that even if there is a human error, that human error does not cause a loss of information or loss of data and so on and so forth. Okay, so so let's see a little bit of history of cybersecurity. So up to 2000s, you also need to understand that there are four predominant terms that we use in cybersecurity. One is the larger sort of common noun that we use, which is the IT security or information technology security. And within that information technology security, you have something called a physical security, which is basically securing your physical asset, which is more about your computers, your server rooms, your assets, your the tag that you're using for entering through a door, etc. That's part of physical security. The second part is information security, which is basically the data that you're storing within your systems, and there's a responsibility of security professionals to basically secure and see to it that that is not hampered with. Third is cyber security, which is more when the moment you talk about cyber physical systems where everything is on cloud, cyber security becomes a much more larger term which overshadows physical security and information security. And today this is what is happening. If you see the cyber security is a much more larger scope of doing things, because because of the very fact, like I said, we have connected devices, we are using multiple resources on the internet. We are predominantly dependent a lot on the cloud, and therefore the whenever you're talking about IT security has become equivalent to cyber security. So in the past, these three terms were used quite in tandem. But today, if you look at any course, anything that you are being taught in IT security, which has become equal to cybersecurity, and that's the reason the name of the course itself is BTech in cyber security, where there will be portions of physical security and information security which will be taught, but predominantly what will be taught is cybersecurity. And why that has happened is because of this, because of the advent of cloud. Now, over the past about a couple of decades, we've seen that how our data, our computing, our power, everything, all of that basically goes into cloud or stored in cloud. Just give me a second. Yeah, stored in cloud. So what is really happening is that has changed or made a dynamic shift within the way we are computing data. And what is happening is that, and because you are aiming to become a computer science engineering with a specialization in cybersecurity, blockchain, you need to understand what are the key blocks of a digital organization. First and foremost is the IT infrastructure. So IT infrastructure means all the devices, all the networks, all the software applications, so on and so forth. All of that falls under IT infrastructure. And the question is that how is how do we balance between cloud system and on-premise system? We are still not seeing that banks do not have servers. Everybody, all your university will be having a server. However, there is a lot of balance that has to be driven between how much of infrastructure should we move into the cloud system and how much. So for example, in the cloud, you can actually rent out storage space. So maybe you don't require such high performing servers anymore. So that balance is all what is the question that is burning within the industry. The second is development. Now, many of you have already maybe in your 11th and 12th dabbled with software development. Obviously, your computer science engineering will also give you more scope for software development side also. So within software development, how can you use the power of cloud to develop faster applications? And today, any application that you're developing, that any organization is developing, has a cloud version as well. Third is data, which is the lifeblood of any organization or the whole business. So the kind of data that we are creating today, how can you use it, how can you secure it? And then finally, all of this boils down is to how do you secure your infrastructure, how do you secure your development, your software, your assets, how do you secure your data? So with that, I think what the organizations are moving into is something called defense in depth. And that is why, again, I go back to my slide where I was talking about cybersecurity is just not hacking. But what you talk about, there are these multiple layers that you have, right from your application to data. Then the second layer is your host, which is the systems and the infrastructure part of it. You've got the network, and then you've got the physical security, which is the CCTVs and the ID cards that you carry, and then all of that is overall layered with certain policies and procedures that help organizations to manage and guide this entire process of cybersecurity. So what you need to understand, I'm not getting into too much of details, but what you need to understand is cybersecurity, just like any other domain within the technology area, so data sciences or artificial intelligence, machine learning, everything, just like you are getting into a lot of overall knowledge of that, cybersecurity also is in the same level, where you are going into the depth and securing all the kind of assets that you have. The other thing that you need to understand is that there are three key aspects of cybersecurity, which is called CIA triad. The CIA is not the Central Investigation Agency of USA, but it stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So the core areas of cybersecurity is how do you measure and design and prepare your organization designed to prevent sensitive information for unauthorized access. So that's point number one. How confidential is your data? Second is integrity. That what that means is involves that you need to have consistency, accuracy, and trustworthiness, that the information that you're working with is something that is accurate, something that is trustworthy, and has a consistency. And third is the part where you talk about availability, that within an organization, do I get an access to this information? Does Professor Amandeep gets an access to the information? Are we both getting access to the information? Are we authorized to get the information, to have or access those information? So you need to understand the whole concept of CIA, which is confidentially, integrity, and availability. And why I'm throwing these words here is just to give you an overview of the basic fundamentals of cybersecurity in terms of a technology. And since you are all students who are looking at a graduation in this field, you need to understand some of these basic fundamentals. Now, second myth that we want to, Professor Amandeep also shared some bit of understanding about blockchain. But if you ask a common person that who has a little general awareness that what is blockchain, and everybody talks about Bitcoin, yes, the first application of blockchain as a technology was in digital currencies, Bitcoin being one of them. However, what again I'm saying is that blockchain is not entirely Bitcoin. So what is blockchain is that it's a technology that enables technology enabled, sorry for the grammatical error here, technology enabled process that is used for securing information and is being increasingly used in multiple areas. And we saw the slide that Professor Amandeep shared: digital currencies, smart contracts, financial transaction, health record management, and so on and so forth. So, so, so point number one, blockchain is a technology, and like what Professor Amandeep said, that it goes hand in hand with security. And the reason why we have included both of these technology is basically because of the connectivity between the cybersecurity and the blockchain technology. So, what is blockchain in a very, very simplistic manner? It's a distributed ledger system, and that securely stores records for all transactions. Whatever transaction you are doing, it is, rather than getting stored in one place, it is getting distributed into multiple nodes. New transactions, whatever are happening, be it a contract or be it a financial transaction, they are added to the block, authorized by that, but the whole network authorizes that transaction, and it is only authorized to those people and validated by and transacts, and the transaction happens only for those members and authorized people who have access to that relevant information. So what really happens out of that is that by storing data across network, what blockchain does is that it eliminates centralized database. So whenever there is a centralized database, there is a huge risk of data being compromised and stolen. Point number two, the network is completely stored through cryptographic technologies, and there's a technology term called public and private keys. So I've just used keys here, but basically it's a set of unique IDs and unique identifiers that makes all of those transactions very secured. And cryptography again is a topic which is widely covered in cybersecurity programs. Wherever you teach cybersecurity, one of the first things that you learn is cryptography. How do you encrypt a piece of information that you're sharing? And because what happens is that we are talking about human errors in the past, because of data leak, this becomes tamper resistance, because first and foremost, it gets stored and it is permanent. And when it's permanent, so what really happens is that that financial transaction or that process cannot be tampered with. If somebody is trying to tamper it, the entire network basically comes to know that something wrong is happening. So what is really happening is that this is just a graphical representation that what happens in the digital distributed ledger technology, which is a blockchain, that every node in the network keeps a copy of the transaction. And then what happens is when there is a new transaction which is happening, there is a whole lot of authorization and validation and verification that happens across the entire network. And then once it is only approved, what happens is that new transaction is added onto the current chain of transaction that is relevant in that particular area. I know it is very, very confusing at this point in time, so I would not like to get into too much of details. But what I'm trying to say is that these are the things that you're going to learn when you join the course. So this is another very interesting thing, is that if you look at blockchain, it is like a team sport. And just like, say an IPL system, the whole system of the Indian Premier League. So there is fans on one hand, which are consumers of information. There are players on the other hand, which are the nodes. There is the network, which are the teams, and then there is whole ecosystem, which is the IPL league. Now, what happens is that in every of these entities, not necessarily that all the information should be known by each one of them. So that is where your authentication and validation comes into place, and that is where security acts in terms, security concepts act in terms of how do you make the whole system more easy to use, more seamless to use, and having a higher end of security. And just like what Professor Amandeep said, you talk about any field that we are discussing today, be it, so four key areas: smart contracting, digital currency, frauds, banking and financial services, keeping of record. Any one of these areas, this technology is going to take over as we go along. And I have a couple of examples that I can share, but with the interest of time, I will skip a little bit. And then if you have any questions regarding that, we can answer that later on. Now, what is the importance of all of these things? Why are we talking about cybersecurity? Why are we working with LPU to develop an honors program in cybersecurity? First and foremost, there are some shocking statistics that you can see on your left side on the, that cybercrime will always be on rise. Every 39 seconds, there is a cyber attack that happens. There is nearly 1% of the world's GDP is lost to cybercrime. There are about 25% of cybercrime involves Internet of Things divided with devices, which is connected devices. There are so many identities stolen. In fact, one of the biggest cyber hack or breaches that has happened in history is the one that happened with Yahoo, where it is estimated that about 4% of the world's population was affected by that hack. And then you talk about any organization. Few days back, there was an incident at Zomato. Couple of months, there was an incident in Air India. So there are so many examples which are not stopping. And in one of the slides, initially you saw that there are new varieties and new types of cyber attacks that are happening. It's just not virus anymore. It's malware. It's denial of services. It's SQL injection. There are so many different and very unique way APTs, advanced persistent threat. There are so many different types of attacks that are happening on a day-to-day level, and therefore what happens is we require people who are specializes in cybersecurity. And you open any news, you will see that there are so much of demand of cybersecurity within India as well as in abroad. And what is interesting is that because of the pandemic, this also has increased because there is a huge amount of people, a number of people who have moved into a remote workforce. And once they move into remote workforce, not all of you are smart like you guys. Not all of you are smart like perhaps the subject matter expert here, say for example Mohit here, but all of us are users of technology, and therefore the cybersecurity incidents have sort of become very, very pertinent and very, very common these days. And that's the reason, while all the job roles sort of were very flat in terms of growth, the number of job openings in cybersecurity increased by 6% during 2020, which is very interesting, it's a very big number. Second is that students like they are looking for or searching for jobs in cybersecurity, and that has grown up by a whopping 30% in terms of people looking for cybersecurity jobs. They have the skills, they're looking for cybersecurity job. And in terms of the salary levels, this is today. I know you will graduate after 4 years and these numbers will definitely go up. But today, if you are just out of a college and you're joining an Accenture or an IBM or a Capgemini or any one of these large organizations, be it retail or bank or whatever, an average salary of a security engineer is close to about 4.5 to ranges between 4.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs per annum. And the other very interesting fact is that why are you always looking at jobs in specific IT services companies. As a cybersecurity engineer, you have a possibility of landing up jobs in, say, big fours, the consulting firms, the Deloittes and the KPMGs and the PwCs of the world. Or you can even be hired by banking and financial institutions, like like in India, there are a lot of banks which are hiring cybersecurity engineers, both multinational banks as well as nationalized banks. So a lot of huge impetus is there. The other thing that I wanted to quickly cover here is that what is your growth path within this industry? You basically first join as a security engineer. So what happens after you've gone through the entire learning process of the 4 years, the curriculum that we have designed? You land up as a job as a security engineer, or in sometimes security analyst also. So basically what you're doing here is that you are the first line of defense within the organization. So what you're doing is that you are predicting if there is a cybersecurity attack that can happen because your systems have some vulnerability, or if it's already happened, how to react to it. And there are a lot of tools which you will be taught through your 4 years of degree here, the honors degree here, that will help you to utilize those tools and technologies to basically go up the ladder. And then of course you move into security analysis at a higher level. Vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is a very, very attractive opportunity of employment. And then finally you move into a level where you become a security architect, but that takes about 5 to 7 years of work experience. But by and large, you are going to be the people, you will be the foot soldiers, the first line of defense and attack as well. You will be those people who will thwart that malicious actor. And that's a really very, very interesting work that you do. And what are the kind of skills that are required on a very broad level? Systems and networking are very, very important for you to understand. How does operating system work? And when you talk about operating system, it's not only Windows, but also mobile operating systems, Android, iOS, or Mac operating system, or Linux. So you need to have an understanding of operating systems. You need to have an understanding of networking and cloud. And yes, because a lot of automation is happening, and especially because blockchain is also a part of it, which is predominantly on software development side, you also need to have programming, some amount of programming skills, especially around Python. And then finally, in terms of domain skills, obviously you will be taught the entire suite of cybersecurity, right from the fundamental all the way up to how you do a security, how do you manage a security operations center, how do you do vulnerability assessment, how do you do threat intelligence, threat modeling, and so on and so forth. So that's a part of the domain skills. I think with that, I will stop here. I have taken a few minutes more, and obviously we will, continue if you have any questions here on. Over to you, Rishi sir and Amandeep sir.
Yeah, I'll be moving back to Professor Amandeep Nagpal for his presentation on program details.
Thank you, Rishiji. Is my screen visible, Rishiji?
Yes.
Visible, sir.
Yeah. Now, dear students, coming back to the program offering. Now, since you all know that we are discussing about BTech in computer science, honors with specialization in cybersecurity and blockchain. And I'm very sure that Pradeepji has made you convinced about what this technology is all about and how it's going to change the workforce and the market scenarios in the time to come. So let's talk more about the program. That what are the program highlights? The program here is about BTech honors in cybersecurity and blockchain. So the first aspect of the program highlight is the curriculum of the program. This has been exclusively and meticulously designed by the subject experts from industry. So this program has a lot of industry intervention. If I say there are around 48 courses or subjects to be taught in this degree program, so there is an exclusivity angle of around 14 to 16 dedicated courses that all of you will study in this program, which are exclusively related to cybersecurity and blockchain. Apart from cybersecurity and blockchain, you will be also taught the basics and the fundamental courses from computer science. Now, these courses that we are referring to, they'll be taught to you by industry experts and international faculty. So we promise to you that around 40% of the courses or the subjects in totality will be taught to you by industry experts and international faculty. And this would be a full-time teaching engagement. When I say courses to be taught by industry experts, it means that a subject in full-time mode will be taught to the students in this program by the industry experts and international faculty. It's not a guest lecture that we are talking about or a master class, but a complete course to be taught by industry experts. So around 40% of the courses would be taught to you by industry experts and international faculty. Apart from teaching, the corporates or the industry professionals will be mentoring and giving the guidance to the students. So each one of the students admitted in this program would be attached to an industrial mentor. Apart from a faculty member who would be mentoring the student for his academic needs, each student would be attached to an industrial mentor right from the day one of the program till the time you complete the degree. So you'll be always mentored and guided by an industrial mentor who has the real-time experience on working on technologies and the upcoming projects. Students will be provided with apt financial assistance. Now, this is an exclusive offering in this program that each one of you will get a chance to start your own venture, or you can become an entrepreneur by using the seed money that university is going to provide to you. Now, we are providing you a seed money with an upper cap of around 5 lakhs. So if any one of the students or all the students are willing to have their own startup, or they are interested in entrepreneurship kind of a venture, then the university will support you with an upper cap limit of 5 lakhs. So this would be the seed money that university will provide to the students whose entrepreneurial ideas or startups are approved by the university. Apart from entrepreneurial ideas, you will be also supported by the university in the form of research grants to publish research paper, patents, and copyrights. It means that you will be also trained on writing the research papers, patents, and copyrights. So any amount that would be required would be provided by the university with an upper cap limit. Surely you will be all of you are going to be guided and made to be experienced going through the live projects by the experts from CompTIA. So guided projects and live projects are very well the part of this program. We are not talking of an one-time final degree project, which normally happens in a BTech degree program towards the end of a degree. Here we are talking about every semester or every alternate semester, a student would be doing a real-time project, which would be guided by the industry experts or the partners from the CompTIA. This program, which we are talking about of cybersecurity and blockchain, would have 6 global certifications in cybersecurity. So as you all know that CompTIA is a global leader in cybersecurity certifications. So 6 global certifications are already part of this program offering. You need not be spending any penny to write these exams. These 6 global certifications, so we'll make you train on these global certifications through the courses and subjects that we teach. And apart from teaching, you all will be given a chance to write or to attempt the paper for clearing these 6 global certifications, which are issued by CompTIA. Boot camps and hackathons are integral part of this degree program. So we intend to conduct a boot camp and a hackathon every alternate semester for each one of the students, so that they are made very well and they are made aware of this phenomenon of hackathons, boot camps, and the competitive spirit is very well nurtured into the students. Experiential learning, of course, is done through do-it-yourself and flipped classroom teaching models. So we expect each one of the students to be carrying a laptop or a smart gadget inside the classroom and outside the classroom also, so that all your teaching and learning happens on your gadgets. As far as your software support is concerned, the university will provide you the software support. But we expect that the target audience of the students who will be engaged or who will be taking admission into this program will be going through an experiential mode of learning, which we call it as do-it-yourself. So you will be learning on your own machine. The software support and any support around the software or the hardware will be provided by the university in the form of expertise. This degree program is very diverse. flexible, and it's of course based on choice-based learning approach. When I say choice-based, all of you will be, apart from being offered the technology suite of cybersecurity and blockchain, would also be offered one core business functional domain. When I say business functional domain, domains like banking and finance, FMCG, healthcare, tourism, retail. You talk of the business verticals where this technology is applied. So the skills or the nuances or the fundamentals and the practices of all these industry domain specializations where these skills are applied, be it cybersecurity and blockchain, they will be also offered to you as an integral part of this degree program. So it's a very wide and a very flexible degree program that we are offering to you. What I've shared with all of you are the prominent highlights which should make you think that why to join Lovely Professional University under this specialization of cybersecurity and blockchain. So I thank you all for listening to us. Now we are open for Q&A. And Rishi sir, we'll start with the Q&A.
Definitely, sir. It was wonderful watching you talking on the details of the program structure, and of course, Mr. Pradipto talking about the discipline in depth. It was wonderful and enlightening. And we have a lot of queries coming up in textual form in front of me. I'll be taking up those one by one. But before that, I would like to have a little word from Mohit. Mohit is with us. He's our alumni. He's doing well in cybersecurity. Mohit, would you like to tell me what you are doing these days and how cybersecurity has put you in a better place?
For sure. First of all, thank you, Rishi sir. Well, to reintroduce myself, I'm Mohit Balu, working as a cybersecurity analyst in Tata Consultancy Services. And in cybersecurity, I mainly work on enterprise vulnerability management area. And I do vulnerability assessment and penetration testing of application, web services, and internal and external infrastructures. And from LPU, I graduated in 2019 in computer science, and as an alumnus of this university, it really feels nice to present my views in this platform. And all thanks to LPU team for inviting me over here. It is an honor for me, really. And regarding my journey in cybersecurity, it started in LPU only. When I was in my second year of my graduation, I started learning about different terms of cybersecurity, and I got help from professors in network and security department. And they helped me with the resources, the online courses that I need to get started with the cybersecurity. That's how I started. And then in the third year of my degree, I chose cybersecurity as my engineering minor. I was lucky to secure a place in that engineering minor of cybersecurity. And there were few courses that were being taught at that time. There were, I think, only 4 courses, like cybersecurity essentials, penetration testing, incident response, and all. So I started, learning from there only. If I talk about myself, basically what I have learned has helped me in landing a good job, and it is helping me today also. The skills that I've learned, be it network security, be it Python programming, application security, Linux, these all are helping me today in my job. And secondly, in LPU, you always get a good industry exposure. As Amandeep sir already mentioned that there will always be an industry intervention in this course. So I think that's really a good opportunity. And there is always a workshop, seminars from prominent cybersecurity experts in the field. When you're studying, you mostly focus on the academic skills. But if you're getting industry, if you're getting idea what is happening in the industry these days, so it just, I think, works like a cherry on the cake. That's what I think. So you will get to know what you will already learn the skills, but then you'll get to know how using those skills when you'll get a job. And also there is a good community of ethical hackers in Lovely Professional University. And as Pradeep sir only mentioned, that cybersecurity is not about hacking only, but yeah, ethical hacking is one part of the cybersecurity. And there is a good community, and there is a club called CyberHack in under Center for Professional Enhancement in LPU. So we started this club in 2018, I think, and there were only 8 members when we started this club. And now I think there are around 200 active members of that club. So you see, how passionate are the students for the cybersecurity. It really grows a lot. And basically, that club helps students with resources that are needed to start out in cybersecurity. I've seen that there are a lot of students who want to pursue their careers in cybersecurity, but then they are not aware of what are the resources from which they can start. So this club helps the student. If anyone need help, they can reach out to this club. And we also conducted workshops, seminars, and CTF events. CTF events, who don't know, these are the capture the flag event. It is just like a competitive event in ethical hacking. So we used to conduct that as well during my tenure at the university. And now when I talk about this course, I think it is a really nice program, which is BTech itself in cybersecurity and blockchain. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone who want to pursue this field, be it cybersecurity or be it blockchain. And some of you, as Pradeep sir already mentioned, that there is a demand of ethical hackers in the market. Some of you, have heard that there is a shortage of cybersecurity professionals in company these days. So I think this course is really going to fill that shortage in near future. And also, I just came to know there are 6 certifications that are being offered in this program. That is a big plus of this program, I would say, because when I graduated from LPU, I had only 2 certifications with me, and because of those 2 certifications, I was able to land a good job. When I paid for an interview, because I had 2 certifications on my profile, I was offered double the package that was being offered at that time. So it really helped me a lot. But now that you guys will be getting 6 certifications, it is really going to boost your profile. I believe that. And also I think this course is going to make cybersecurity freshers. If I talk about like freshers, these days companies are very reluctant to hire cybersecurity professionals from freshers, because they think that freshers do not have skills. And also there are various reasons that they do not hire freshers. First of all, cybersecurity unit of every organization is a key unit. They always have to on the toes. They always have to be active in that field. So that is why they do not hire freshers. And second reason, I believe that when they hire freshers, they have to get them through the training, which need a lot of resources and a lot of time. That is the reason they just go with the experienced professionals. But by this course, I think whenever you will graduate from this course, you will already have skills, you will already have the certificate, and then definitely they would want to hire you, right? So it's just like, I think certification is just like proof of your skills. If you are skilled in something and you clear the certification, then you do not need to prove again that you have those skills. You already have the proof that I have, earned this certificate, and I can present those skills whenever they'll hire you on the job. And I think that's pretty much from my side. And also, yeah, I got to know that there is a cloud certification also from CompTIA. So I think that is a good thing, because companies nowadays, I'm speaking from my experience, companies nowadays are moving to cloud only. They're migrating to cloud. They do not want to rely on the on-premise infrastructure. So I think once you graduate, you can also look out this Cloud Plus certification. Actually, I'm also exporting this, so maybe I'll be also doing this certification in the near future. Yeah, so that's pretty much from my side. Over to you, Rishi sir.
Thank you so much, Mohit, for sharing your views in this field and regarding the new program. Thank you so much. And now
Sir,
will. Yeah.
Sir, can I just add one point to what Mohit said? Very, very practical things that he's already said. But yes, he's right that till about a couple of years back, when he graduated, I think the market was not looking at freshers for cybersecurity, but very rapidly that is changing because of the demand. I mean, large security operation centers are being set up now, so the huge number of people that they require. Two, a lot of universities, just like LPU, a lot of students are taking a front step to practically have these certifications, etc. So the organizations are getting confidence in hiring those people. So that landscape is also changing very rapidly. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll be quickly taking up few of the questions. Shalini has some questions. Shalini Guha, she was with us yesterday as well. So we would like to talk to her. She has questions regarding the blockchain. Shalini, I have given you the right. Yeah, Shalini, please unmute yourself and take up your question. Shalini, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Actually, I had a question for cybersecurity as well as blockchain.
Yeah, carry
For
on.
cybersecurity, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, can an ethical hacker become a security architect also?
Who would go with this question? Maybe.
So you can proceed.
Okay. So you see, definitely there is a term called ethical hacking in the industry, which is basically utilizing your hacking skills for good purposes. It's a very simple, uh, sort of definition. But the actual formal definition is what Mohit does, which is called VAPT, Vulnerability Assessor and Penetration Testing. Because penetration testing is the whole process where you identify a vulnerability in your system, and then your job is basically to do those reconnaissance and figure out the vulnerability aspect, and then report it to your management. So that's the job, loosely termed as ethical hacking. But as and when you go along, I think you need to convert a little bit more of your thought process towards VAPT. Whenever you're searching, you search with VAPT or vulnerability assessment, because that is the proper job role that organizations are working. To your question, that can a vulnerability assessment or penetration tester, I'm not using the word ethical hacker here, can you become a security architect? Definitely. Because what does a security architect do? The security architect is the person, he's like the most senior player in the team, who is responsible for setting the policies and the procedures of governance, the way a vulnerability assessment has to be done, a way a penetration testing has to be done, way a management has to be done, or a modeling has to be done. So, and then say, for example, in a very plain and simple language, who is a security architect? Say, for example, today your organization decides that we will go for bring your own device strategy, or buy or implement a new CRM system or ERP system. Now you as a security architect will decide those governance and the policies that goes behind how this software has to be used, and who should get the authorization and who should get the authorization for the relevant part of data. And that's the reason, yes, you can eventually become a security architect.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can I ask my question for blockchain as well?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So actually I was wondering, so like when the blocks are distributed, if one of the blocks is breached or changed, then will the other blocks also become invalid?
No. In fact, that is the beauty of this technology, is basically because it's like it has been written on stone, and therefore, whatever one of the blocks is changed, first of all, everybody will come to know about it. And two, the option will be there where you or the network decides that whether we should make this change or not make this change. So to answer your question, no, they can that, and that's the reason, that's the key point of blockchain, and that's the reason why it is being used in smart contracts, that tomorrow if somebody comes and wants to change some figures or something, they cannot do it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So I would like to take up one more question before we move on to Ms. Kavisha for her little presentation on scholarship and what next for all the attendees. I would like to take up Tanishq. Tanishq, are you there? I have given you the necessary rights. Please talk to the experts. Please unmute yourself and talk to the experts. Tanishq, yeah.
Is cybersecurity is applicable in aeronautics and aerospace industry?
Sir, over to you. Pradipto sir again.
Mohit, would you like to add something? You're a working professional in this field, or I mean, the easy answer is that yes, but Mohit,
Yes.
if you could.
Yes, okay, sir, definitely. So he's asking that cybersecurity is applicable to aeronautical space, right? Well,
Yes,
if I say cybersecurity is applicable to any space, it is applicable to any organization. You know, every organization is online, you know, is on internet these days, right? So if they are on internet, then definitely they have data, they have information on the internet. And how do they protect that data from hackers? That's a cybersecurity only, right? They have to implement security mechanisms. They have to secure their infrastructure. Then only, you know, their data will be secure. So yes, cybersecurity is applicable to any industry in this world.
Yeah. So you're talking about very crucial and critical data, mission critical data, and you don't want that data to be stolen by a competing or by, in fact, when you're talking about space technology, the biggest threat are are basically geopolitical, which means that it is state backed hacking that tries to happen. So for example, one country tries to attack the systems of the space program of another country, and so on and so forth. So in fact, like he said, I mean, you need to have those controls, you need to have those mechanisms. So any field, and this is very crucial because here the stakes are very high, because you're talking about space technology, which is which is controlled by the government, and when it's controlled by the government, it's state-backed actors who come in, pitch in. So yes, there is huge relevance.
Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. And we move on to Ms. Kavisha for a quick presentation on scholarship part and a little bit of how to proceed next.
Good evening, everyone. Let me take you to the exotic journey of lovely professional university. Before I start with my presentation, I really want to wish my LPU students who have breaking the record. 11 LPU students are participating in Tokyo Olympics 2020. It's a matter of pride for all of us that we feel so proud that yes, our LPU students are going to bring laurels to our country. Hoping for the best, I'll start with the campus life and the exposure offered. 106th Indian Science Congress was held in lovely professional university and was inaugurated by none other than Honorable PM of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji. The Dalai Lama was part of our convocation, lovely professional university. Shri Pranab Mukherjee ji, the former President of India, sharing the stage with our Honorable Chancellor. Talking about the Shri Arun Jaitley ji, who did the inauguration for LPU Startup School. All the eminent personalities have been part of lovely professional university. Gohar Gopaldas ji giving valuable values of life to my students. Talking about the real life heroes from Shah Rukh Khan to Deepika Padukone, all have been part of lovely professional university. If I talk about the infrastructure, I can vouch on one thing: we have world's best infrastructure. This eminent architecture is there. 14 blocks are attached to this eminent architecture. Let's peep inside this architecture. This is a closed auditorium with a capacity of 2,500 students, where you have seen the Gohar Gopaldas ji is giving his valuable information. Talking about the well-equipped labs we have with all the updated softwares. The library, which is functional till 12 p.m. at night during the exams and 8 p.m. during the normal days. The Uni Mall, that is the, if I say, the heart of lovely professional university that offers all the basic amenities of life. We do care about your health. We have the gym facilities as well. Your layer activities are also available inside the campus. We have the hospital with 20 beds and the best doctors available inside the campus. If I talk about the open air theater with the solar panels on the top with the capacity of 20,000 students. Talking about the building and architecture, the lush green environment of lovely professional university makes me feel wow, yes, I am associated with this university. Lovely professional university shining in the light of moon and star, that makes me feel wow. Now, what else I can talk about when I talk about the sports? I can talk about the Olympics. Students are participating in Olympics. That is the biggest proof what kind of sports facilities we offer to our students. The swimming pool, the shooting range, the badminton coach, the basketball coach, and the best of the trainers that train the students. You name a sport and we have it in our campus. Talking about the residential facilities, the security is the prime focus of lovely professional university. It's a completely ragging-free campus, and the turnstile gates are installed in the front of the campus, in your hostels, everywhere. To talk about the residential facility, I have 1-seater, 2-seater, 3-seater, 4-seater luxury apartments. We have food options, standard South Indian, North Indian, with the 6 girls hostel and 8 boys hostel with a capacity of 20,000 plus students. All the basic amenities are part of lovely professional university. Now, talking about the BTech Honors Computer Science Engineering with specialization of cybersecurity and blockchain in tie-up with CompTIA, I'll be talking about the program is of 4 years, 8 semesters. You have got deep information regarding this program. Talking about the eligibility of this, it is the pass percentage with the 70% aggregate marks in your class 10+2 with the physics, mathematics, and English compulsory subject. Along with that, you need to qualify the LPUNEST, that is Lovely Professional University National Eligibility and the Scholarship Test. If I talk about the fee and scholarship, I feel so proud that 60,000 students in the last 7 years have studied under the scholarship that account for 61% of the students studying under scholarship. Under the total 500 crores comes to the total scholarship amount. If we talk about the fee and scholarship of this particular program, that is 1,90,000 per semester, but we do offer a very good scholarship. If we talk about the third bracket of the scholarship, that is 38,000 scholarship amount, 20% that you can get if you get in your 10th or your class 12th, 80 to 89.9%, or in your class LPUNEST cutoff 3, you will be eligible for the 20% scholarship, and your fee will be only 1,52,000 per semester. Here I would like to emphasize on one very important thing. If I talk about the scholarship, that will be applicable throughout 4 years, that is 8 semesters. It's never like for the first year or the second year. Now, talking about the second scholarship bracket, that is 25%, how you can avail that if you get in your class 10th or 12th, 90 to 94.9%, or in LPUNEST cutoff 2, you will be liable for this particular scholarship. Talking about the highest bracket of scholarship in this particular program, and your fee will be 1,33,000. Scholarship is the maximum is 30%. How you can get that is if you get your marks 10th and 12th above 95% or LPUNEST cutoff 1, then you are liable for the 30% scholarship. Talking about the application process, it's very simple. What you need to do is sign up. You can get into step 2, apply for LPUNEST eligibility and the scholarships test, and you can book the slot and you can proceed with the admission process. Now, I think a lot of students have already taken the admission, and if they want to go for the cybersecurity program, in your dashboard, there's an option. You can see here, program transfer request. You can click on here. Then you can go to select your PROX 12th, go to your program engineering, and you'll get all the options for computer science. You can select for the computer science engineering, and the BTech Honors Computer Science and Engineering Cybersecurity Blockchain and tie-up with CompTIA is visible to you. You can select this option and you will go for the program transfer. If you have any concerns, you can always call us on toll-free number, or you can send us the mail at the admissions@lpu.co.in. You can take a screenshot, and if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kapila, for giving us a quick insight into the system, the scholarship part, and what next. Thank you so much. And before we sign off, we can have a word with one of the attendee in case somebody has a query. I see Bhargav Perasani. Bhargav, are you there? So I have given you the rights. You can put in your question. Bhargav, you can unmute yourself and talk to the experts. I move on to the next person, that is Gaja Sagar. Gaja, can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, as you said that the Scrumta program system, how can we enroll it, and what's the fees for that?
So Gaja, if you have heard this last presentation from Miss Kavisha, she has already told if you have already taken admission, then there is a pathway of
Yeah.
program transfer, right? In your website, I would request Miss Kavisha to move into the slide necessary to be answered to Gaja. Yeah, just hold on. We'll show you how to go for a program transfer. So here, this is the, you can see on the screen, you need to go to program transfer, click over here. Then you need to select 10+2, then engineering part, and then move on to all computer science engineering, and then you have all the options available wherein you can see the CompTIA option over here, and select this and submit. You will be getting the program transfer within 48 to 72 hours, right? And
So
I would like,
actually, as as we are the first year students, almost we have completed our examinations, and means now we will change our program. Then we may find any problems. Then is there any?
you need to talk to Department of Academic Affairs for that. Clear?
But you will find some challenges. You know, ideally we expect the students to be taking admission into this program right from very first year, because the courses in this program are different from normal computer science. So we will start offering you the courses from the specialization part right from the very first semester, which is not the case in the normal computer science degree program. So I expect you to take the decision. If you are interested to take admission in cybersecurity and blockchain program, we recommend it to you to do it now. Now is the best time for you. If you switch on the program
Okay.
after 1 year, then there would be certain backlogs. Backlog means you'll have to do the courses along with the second year of study.
Okay, sir.
So it's not recommended. Yeah, it is possible, but it is not recommended by us.
Okay, sir.
So I can see a few more queries coming up. Definitely we will answer them, but through the email. Definitely in the next few hours you will be getting the replies for the questions those have been put to us. And now it's time to sign off by saying that experts, your years of research, your depth of understanding the topic, and your ability to present the topic in such an interesting way produced one of the most wonderful afternoons for all the attendees. On behalf of all the attendees of this webinar, I want to thank you for your insightful presentation. Hopefully, the attendees also found this webinar to be valuable and will be able to utilize the information provided by the experts in this webinar to help take a better decision regarding your admissions. I'm obliged and once again thankful to Professor Amandeep Nagpal, Mr. Pradipto, Ms. Kavisha, and Mr. Mohit for strengthening this platform. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much, and have a great evening ahead.